Hey there, and welcome to the channel. I'm so glad you're here. Whether you stumbled upon this video or you've been with us for a while, I want to say thank you for taking a little time out of your day to slow down, breathe, and maybe feel something real. This channel is all about love stories, the soft kind, the messy kind, the kind that lingers in your memory long after the last word is spoken. Here, we tell stories that remind you of your first crush, your high school sweetheart, or that one person you met at the wrong time. So, if you're someone who still believes in love, or maybe just misses the feeling of it, you're in the right place. Make yourself comfortable. Grab a cup of coffee, tea, or even a glass of wine. Because for the next few minutes, I want to take you somewhere else. Somewhere quiet. Somewhere a little nostalgic. And maybe, somewhere your heart has been before. Now, let us begin. I never thought a single song could hit me like this. It was a rainy Tuesday afternoon in my tiny Chicago apartment. I'd just poured myself a cup of Earl Grey, my go-to comfort on days when everything felt a little too loud, and I was scrolling through old playlists on my phone. Then, out of nowhere, those first familiar piano notes floated through my headphones. He was my first love, and I never really forgot him. It wasn't just a lyric. It was my story, sung back to me in a voice that sounded achingly familiar. I froze, mug halfway to my lips, as my heartbeat stuttered. The steam curled from the tea like wisps of memory. I set the cup down and closed my eyes. In that moment, I was 16 again, standing in the hallway of Lincoln High, leaning against a row of green lockers. The fluorescent lights buzzed overhead, and I could smell his cologne, fresh cut grass mixed with something woodsy. He was laughing at a joke I'd told, that crooked smile lighting up his face, and I remember thinking, this is what butterflies feel like. But back in my apartment, the rain tapped against the window pane, pulling me fully into the present. I opened my eyes and stared at the dusty guitar propped in the corner, my only souvenir from college. I hadn't touched it in years, but I remembered how he taught me my first chord, his fingers brushing mine as we strummed together in his garage. I could almost feel the rough wood under my palm. A sudden knock at the door jolted me back. My heart leapt. Could it be him? Of course not. He'd moved to Seattle right after graduation, and we'd lost touch, two kids with big plans and no real way to keep promises. Still, part of me sprinted to the door, hopeful for a split second. When I opened it, there was no one there, just a single yellow envelope tucked under the welcome mat. My name was scrawled across the front in handwriting I recognized instantly. Hands trembling, I picked it up and turned it over. No stamp. No return address. Only that same crooked smile greeting me from the photograph on the back. I took a breath and slipped inside, closing the door behind me. My tea had gone cold, but I didn't care. I sat on the edge of my sofa and carefully peeled open the envelope. Inside was a Polaroid of us, taken at that autumn festival 15 years ago, me in a cozy sweater, him holding a funnel cake, both of us smiling at the camera. On the white border, he'd written, "Do you remember me?" And suddenly, the past and present collided. All those years of what-ifs and maybes came rushing back, reminding me that first love isn't just a teenage rite of passage. It's the spark that stays alive in the corners of your heart, waiting for a single song, a photograph, or a knock on the door to bring it roaring back. When I think back to that crisp September morning, I can still feel the buzz of excitement in the air. Lincoln High was waking up from its summer slumber. Hallways freshly waxed, walls plastered with banners for the upcoming football season, and the scent of cafeteria pancakes drifting down from the lunchroom. My locker number 214 stood waiting for me, its green paint chipped but proud, like a veteran soldier ready for another year of battles and victories. I was running late, of course. My best friend, Mia, always teased me for hitting the snooze button one too many times. I swung open my locker to grab my math textbook and nearly collided with a boy I'd never seen before. He was tall, with a mess of brown hair that fell into his eyes, and he carried a stack of biology lab manuals that threatened to spill onto the floor. "Oh, sorry," I blurted, steadying his books as they teetered in my hands. He looked up, startled, and for a second our eyes locked. It was like a photograph come to life, his hazel eyes wide and curious, my heart doing a backflip in my chest. "No, it's my fault," he said, offering me a shy grin. "I'm new here. I guess I'm still learning my way around." I closed my locker with a bang. "I'm Claire," I managed, cheeks flushing. "Number 214. "Ethan," he replied, glancing at the locker. 214. Good to know. That was it, my introduction to Ethan, the new transfer student from Seattle. Over the next few days, I watched him navigate the cafeteria lines, awkwardly balance a tray piled high with mystery meatloaf and fries, and laugh politely at jokes he probably didn't understand. He sat alone at lunch the first day, so I plucked up my courage and slid into the seat across from him. "Mind if I join you?" I asked, trying to sound casual. He looked relieved. "Not at all." We spent that lunch talking about everything and nothing, favorite bands, worst cafeteria food, and how crazy it was that our high school had its own football stadium on campus. He told me about Seattle rainstorms and how he missed his old friends. I told him how I'd never been to a Friday night game but was dying to go. By the end of lunch, he'd invited me to sit with him at the season opener. "I could use a guide," he said, winking. The Friday night lights at Lincoln High were like nothing I'd ever experienced. The bleachers vibrated with school spirit, students chanting fight songs, marching band drums echoing, and the crisp air filled with the smell of popcorn and hot chocolate. Ethan and I stood shoulder to shoulder, cheering until our voices went hoarse. During halftime, the crowd hushed for the cheerleaders' routine. I felt a tap on my shoulder and turned to see Ethan holding out a foam finger. "Here," he said. "You deserve this." I laughed, taking it. "Thanks. You're a good friend, you know that." He shrugged, a small smile playing on his lips. "Friend, I was kind of hoping for something more." My stomach fluttered. Oh, that night, under the glow of stadium lights, everything felt possible. The way he looked at me like I was the only person in the crowd sent shivers down my spine. It wasn't just teenage infatuation, it was that moment when your world tilts on its axis and you realize life will never be quite the same. After the game, we walked back to our cars, the parking lot nearly empty. Ethan paused and handed me a small folded note. "Just in case," he said. "For the song I mentioned." I unfolded it to find the name of a band and a song title, Northern Skies by the Wild Hearts. "Perfect," I whispered, tucking it into my pocket. That night, I lay in bed replaying every detail, his laugh, the way his hand brushed mine as we high-fived, the softness in his eyes when he said my name. I knew, with a certainty that surprised me, that this was the beginning of something I'd never forget. After that electric night under the stadium lights, Ethan and I slipped into an easy rhythm. Our friendship blossomed into something neither of us had planned but both of us secretly hoped for. Every Tuesday and Thursday, we met in the school library after class. I'd spread my calculus notes across a long wooden table, and he'd sit opposite, biology manuals stacked high. Between problem sets and flashcards, we laughed at inside jokes like the time he mixed up my name with the chemistry teacher's and passed each other snacks, granola bars, trail mix, the occasional candy bar smuggled from home. His shoulder would brush mine as we leaned in to compare answers, sending tiny sparks up my arm. Some afternoons, we ditch the bus line and walk home together down Maple Avenue, where red and gold leaves drifted onto the sidewalks in October. We pause at the corner coffee shop for hot chocolate, steam fogging our glasses as we talked about dreams, his plans to study marine biology, my desire to write novels. I remember the day he took my hand as we crossed the street, fingers tangling, and how my breath caught at the simple warmth of his palm. Our favorite ritual became late-night phone calls. Lights off, lying on our beds, whispering until 1 a.m. He'd tell me about constellations visible over the Pacific Northwest. I'd share embarrassing middle school stories. Sometimes, silence stretched between us, and I'd listen to his steady breathing, feeling closer than ever despite the miles of air between our homes. Then came prom night. I spent weeks agonizing over a dress soft blush pink with delicate lace, and he rented a tux with a matching boutonniere. We met in the school foyer, mirrors reflecting our nervous smiles. He held my hand as we posed for pictures under the arch of fairy lights. On the dance floor, our slow song played, and I rested my head on his shoulder, the world melting away in that moment. A few weeks later, we drove to Lake Evergreen in his beat-up pickup truck, blankets and sandwiches in tow. The autumn sun dipped low, painting the water in molten gold. He taught me how to skip stones, and I teased him when he missed. As we lay side by side on the blanket, he pointed out a flock of geese flying south. I turned to him, heart pounding, and he reached for my hand, this time not just to guide, but to hold. The gentle squeeze said more than words ever could. Finally, the night he T-10 Ella and you arrived without fanfare. We walked home from school under a canopy of street lamps. I was rambling about a book I'd just finished when he stopped and turned to face me, moonlight haloing his hair. "Claire," he said, voice low. I think I've fallen in love with you." My heart pounded so loudly I was sure he could hear it. I searched his eyes, those hazel windows I'd come to know so well, and saw everything I felt reflected back at me. "I love you too," I whispered, leaning in. Our first kiss was clumsy and sweet, like a promise sealed under the cool evening sky. Spring of senior year arrived in a flurry of graduation caps and college acceptance letters. The hallways of Lincoln High buzzed with excitement and with goodbyes. But nothing prepared me for the day Ethan told me his family was moving to Boston. We sat on the front steps of the school, the cherry blossoms drifting around us like pink snow. He held a crumpled letter in his hand, the paper creased from constant unfolding. "They got a new job offer," he said quietly. "Mom and Dad leave in 2 weeks." My chest tightened. I wanted to laugh it off, to say it was a joke, but I saw the truth in his eyes. He was leaving. For the next few days, we lived in a bubble of stolen moments. We rode to school together in his dad's car, sharing one last morning coffee. We walked the campus grounds at dusk, tracing the path where we first met. And every night, we whispered promises over the phone. "Don't forget me," he said on our final call. "How could I replied, tears catching in my throat. "I'll wait for you." On the last afternoon before he left, we met at the old oak tree behind the football field, our spot since junior year. He pulled a small box from his backpack and handed it to me. "Open it," he urged. Inside lay a delicate silver locket, engraved with our initials and a tiny compass rose. "So you always know which way to go," he said, voice thick. I fastened it around my neck, the cool metal resting over my heart. "I'll never take it off," I promised. Then we held each other tight, neither wanting to be the first to let go. His arms felt like home, and I tried to memorize the shape of his back, the feel of his jacket, the scent of him. The morning he left, I stood on the porch of his house as the moving van pulled away. Ethan climbed into the driver's seat, turned, and waved. He opened the window and called, "I'll write." "Every week." I forced a smile and waved back. "Promise," I shouted. He blew me a kiss and the van rolled down the street, kicking up clouds of dust. I clutched the locket, tears sliding down my cheeks, and whispered, "Be safe." College came fast. I threw myself into classes and clubs, trying to fill the void his absence left behind. I wore the locket every day, spinning the compass rose when I missed him most. We wrote letters long, rambling pages filled with dreams and worries, but as months passed, the letters grew shorter. Phone calls became less frequent. Life, with its new routines and friendships, carried us forward in different directions. I never stopped hoping he'd come back for summer break. But that summer, I waited at the airport in my sundress, scanning the arrivals for his familiar messy hair. He never appeared. By autumn, I understood that sometimes love isn't enough to bridge the miles. Sometimes promises are made in the innocence of youth, and sometimes they're broken by the gravity of growing up. Still, I never blamed him. We were two kids, chasing dreams in opposite corners of the country. We did our best to hold on, but the world had other plans. And so, I let go with gratitude for the moments we shared and a quiet ache in my chest that no one else could ever replace. It's a crisp Saturday morning when I walk into the Roasted Bean, my favorite cafe in Chicago's Lincoln Park. The smell of fresh espresso mingles with the chatter of weekend brunch goers. I tuck a strand of hair behind my ear, order my usual oat milk latte, and find a seat by the window. As I settle in with my laptop, a familiar laugh drifts across the room. I look up, and there he is, Ethan, standing at the counter, scanning the pastry case. His hair is shorter now, still that same tousled brown, but there's a hint of silver at the temples. He wears a navy pea coat over a simple sweater, looking both familiar and completely changed. My heart skips. Memories rush in. Our first study session in this very cafe's predecessor, the old corner spot that closed years ago. The afternoon we shared a slice of carrot cake after a brutal biology exam. The nights we sat here, talking until closing time. I close my laptop, hands trembling, and watch as he pays and turns. Our eyes meet. Time seems to pause just like it did in the Lincoln High hallway all those years ago. He blinks, recognition dawning, and a slow smile spreads across his face. "Claire," he says, voice soft but sure. "Ethan," I breathe, standing. The cafe around us blurs as I walk toward him. He pulls me into a hug, warm, familiar, like coming home. I close my eyes and breathe in his scent, sandalwood and something unmistakably him. "I can't believe it's really you," he murmurs. "I was thinking the same thing," I reply, stepping back to study his face. His hazel eyes are still the same, full of kindness and curiosity, but there's a depth there now, the kind that comes from years of living. We sit at a small table by the window. For a moment, neither of us speaks, just sipping our lattes and taking each other in. "How long has it been?" he asks finally. "Almost 12 years, I say, tracing the rim of my cup. "You're back in town?" He nods. "Work brought me here, transferred to the Chicago branch." "I didn't know you'd be here too." I smile, a warm ache in my chest. "I've been here since college." marketing, U, architecture. I moved around a bit after Boston, Seattle, then New York. But Chicago feels like home. We talk about careers, mutual friends, and the changes in our old neighborhood. He tells me about the locket I wore every day, the one he tucked away in a box when we lost touch. I tell him how I kept it close, even when I stopped believing in us. Outside, the city hums with life. Joggers on the sidewalk, streetcars clattering by, the spring sun casting golden light through the window. Inside, it feels like a private world where only we exist. Then he reaches across the table and takes my hand. I've thought about you every day, he confesses. Not a day went by that I didn't wonder where you were, how you were, if you'd forgotten me. I never did, I whisper. I never could. His smile is slow and sure. So, what do we do now? I squeeze his hand, memories and possibilities swirling. Maybe we start with coffee, I say, and see where it goes. He nods, relief and hope shining in his eyes. And as we sit there, two people changed by time but bound by memories, I realize that some stories aren't finished after all. They just wait for the right moment to begin again. We leave the cafe hand in hand, stepping out into the warm spring afternoon. The city feels different now, more vibrant, as if it's celebrating our reunion. Ethan glances at me, eyes bright. Want to walk through the park, he asks. I nod. I do love that. We stroll along the winding paths of Lincoln Park, where tulips are just beginning to bloom and the lake sparkles under the sun. Conversation flows easily, sometimes about big things, like career dreams and future plans, sometimes about small things, like our favorite ice cream flavors or childhood memories of family road trips. With every laugh and shared glance, it feels like we're weaving new threads into the tapestry of our history. At a quiet bench overlooking the water, we pause. A pair of swans glide by, their reflection dancing on the surface. Ethan turns to me, expression thoughtful. I don't want to rush anything, he says softly. I know we both have our lives, jobs, friends, routines. But I do like to see where this goes. If you're open to it. My heart flutters. The cautious optimism in his voice mirrors the hope swelling in my chest. I tuck a loose strand of hair behind my ear and smile. I'm open, I reply. Let us take it one step at a time, no pressure, just us rediscovering each other. He reaches into his pocket and pulls out something small, a folded piece of paper. My breath catches as he unfolds it, revealing a list of coffee shops, parks, and art exhibits, places he's been meaning to explore in Chicago. I made a little list, he explains, for us to check off together. Think of it as our second first date. I laugh, delighted. I love it. We spend the next hour mapping out adventures, a jazz night at the Green Mill, a weekend hike up to Montrose Point, a visit to the Art Institute's new Impressionist exhibit. Each idea feels like a promise, an invitation to create fresh memories without erasing the old ones. As the sun dips lower, casting long shadows across the park, we walk back toward the street. Ethan stops and turns to me, his gaze earnest. Claire, I don't know what the future holds, he admits, but I do know this. I'm grateful for every moment we had and every moment we have ahead. I feel tears prick at the corners of my eyes, not of sadness, but of gratitude and possibility. Me too, I whisper. More than you know. He offers me his arm, and I link mine through his. Together, we step onto the sidewalk, the city lights beginning to flicker on. The world around us hums with life, full of unknowns and opportunities. And in that moment, I realize that some stories don't need neat endings. Sometimes, the most beautiful chapters are the ones left unwritten, waiting for two hearts brave enough to turn the page. So here we are, two people, once separated by time and distance, now standing at the threshold of what could be. Friends maybe. Lovers perhaps. Or simply two souls choosing to walk forward together, wherever the road may lead, because real love doesn't always come with guarantees. It comes with faith. Faith in each other, in second chances, and in the magic that happens when you let your heart remember its own story. As Claire and Ethan's story shows us, first loves leave footprints on our hearts, some gentle, some jagged, but always unforgettable. They remind us that memories shape us, teaching us about who we are and who we want to become. Second chances are worth embracing, even when we think the moment has passed. Vulnerability is not a weakness, it's the bridge that connects us to others. Before we wrap up, ask yourself, when was the last time you reached out to someone you once loved? What small moment from your past still makes your heart flutter? Are you ready to open your heart to new possibilities, even if it means revisiting old memories? If Claire's journey has stirred something inside you, share your thoughts in the comments below. Tell us about your own first love story or a second chance that changed your life. Your experiences might inspire someone else to take a brave step forward. If you enjoyed this story, don't forget to like this video to show some love. Subscribe to our channel and hit the bell icon so you never miss a heartfelt tale. Share this video with friends who appreciate stories that touch the soul. We post a new love story every week, each one a journey through romance, nostalgia, and the magic of human connection. Whether it's a sweet high school romance, a whirlwind college affair, or a rekindled flame years later, we've got a story for you. Thank you for spending these moments with us. Your support means the world, and we can't wait to bring you more stories that make you laugh, cry, and believe in love all over again. Until next time, keep your heart open and your memories close. After all, you never know when a simple song or a familiar face might bring your own story back to life.